Everybody's excited. I can see that. Okay. Fire away. I'm sure you guys have just been waiting to come up with some great questions.
Excellent questions, obviously.
You've always had excellent questions, so your game has been really good this year.
Oh, thank you. Kind of two questions related to cornerback, one sort of in the immediate now and then in the future over the offseason. One, just with the bowl game, if you guys transferring, Makai seems to be headed for the NFL as well. Who's available there to play in this game, and what is that kind of looking like? And then as you head into the offseason, kind of having to rebuild that room again, how are y'all going about doing that? Do you going to rely mainly on freshmen or try to bring in some transfers?
So we've got Jarek Bernard-Converse. So obviously he'll be available, and Jay Ward. So feel really good at the cornerback position, and those will be our starters. I think we feel like the depth there is certainly young, but we'll be okay there. So we feel like our two starting corners are going to match up very well. So I think the way we feels best is you don't want to every year jump into the transfer portal when it comes to the cornerback position. We did it this year because there was such a need to put together a representative group. So I think there's going to be a heavy influence on freshmen. And that's how we want this program to be built. Does that mean we won't look at a transfer? No, it doesn't mean we would close the door on that. But last year, as you know, they were 1 year, and done. We're not looking in that respect. Corners would have to have, if we were to move in that direction, they would have to have more than one season of competition if we did go that route. But by and large, philosophically, this is, try to build it with freshmen.
Hey, Coach. The NCAA said they were going to do the blanket waiver to where bowl games wouldn't count against a red shirt. Just your thoughts there, and does that help y'all this year?
It helps a lot. Obviously with the transfer portal and guys making decisions to not play in bowl games because they want to get into the transfer portal, it really hits your roster because, look, you've got guys that are deciding on whether they play in the bowl game, and pursue their options relative to the NFL. Then you've got the transfer portal. It's so difficult to get a mid-year into school prepared to play. That's not a great option. So I think that this is a great move by the NCAA. And I think it really almost is player safety because we're so depleted, from a roster standpoint, that it takes away any of the, I don't have enough players to play. I mean, you guys all remember last year, Garrett Nussmeier could have played in this game last year. So this is a smart move. I think it's appropriate, and I think it really addresses some of the new things that are happening in college football, and it's been well received.
Yeah, just kind of along those lines, I mean, you mentioned how opportunistic this was going to be for a lot of the young guys on the roster who maybe haven't seen a lot of the reps this year. Just early impressions of some guys that are maybe standing out, that are maybe showing improvement that you were hoping to see, and just kind of what their roles could look like in this bowl game.
So we just finished probably a 40-place scrimmage with a lot of the young guys, and it was a live scrimmage, tackle scrimmage. We got a lot of the guys, some work. It was good to see, like, Landon Ibieta back. He had been out most of the season, and, we hadn't seen much of him, but he can catch the football. He's elusive, nice to see, Quincy Wiggins, where, he was kind of stalemated at that fourth game, and being able to get him out there and practice, quite a bit was really good. I say, LaTerrence Welch, and I could probably give you a few more guys, but this is that time where you get a chance to see them, and then we'll watch the film today and probably see a few more guys that, Walker Howard obviously looked really good in the red zone today. So, look, I don't want this to be like, oh my God, Walker Howard, he's ready to be the starting quarterback. This is just observations of guys and answering your question that, it was nice to see them get out there today, and that's what you use some of these practices for.
You've talked a lot about focusing your recruiting on the state of Louisiana first, but what is your approach when it comes to national recruiting and, prioritizing those guys too?
Well, we're going to identify the best prospects, throughout the country. And you'll see that in this signing class. We'll have players from the Northeast, from the Midwest, from the West Coast, but our base will be Louisiana and the South. But I don't think you can, when you're LSU and you have a brand that is so recognizable throughout the entire country, you can't have blinders on either. Where you go, oh, I'm just in Louisiana and I'm not going outside it. So our scope and vision is national, but it's not like we're pulling, 4 guys out of every state. We're going to have a heavy influence in the state of Louisiana like we should, but we're going to know where the best players are in the country as well. And you'll see on signing day, they're from the Midwest, they're from the Northeast, they're from Florida and Texas and California, and I think that's representative of saying, yeah, we're going to national recruit, but we're going to pull our base.
Is B.J. Ojolari going to be playing in the Citrus Bowl? I don't think he said if he would.
He is not going to be playing.
Then what do y'all do at edge rusher for this game, also with Desmond Little having entered the transfer portal?
Yeah, we think we've got some options there that I think will provide the kind of defensive pressure that we need. We like some of the guys we have that are practicing right now. We're going to put all 10 guys up on the line of scrimmage, blitz them all. Trade secrets.
Coach, Jaden Daniels,
Yes.
is there an update on him? And I'm
Yeah, he
assuming-
looked really good today. He's been limited, but today was kind of his last test. We did one of the things we like to do is put the quarterback in direct snap. So he's pushing off and driving back. It's hard. When you're in shotgun, you shuffle your feet and you throw, and and that's how you can get him back quickly when you're in shotgun. But you put him in direct snap, and he's got to drive and use his weight and transfer in a 7-step drop, and then step up and move. You're ready. And today he went through that progression. I would say, well, today is Saturday, right? If we were playing tomorrow, he'd be ready to play.
I guess now that you're in it, you've been flying all over the country, high school recruiting. You've got guys entering the portal, recruiting guys in the portal, signing day coming up, practicing for a bowl. Is this what you expected? Is this something you think can stand long term, or is this kind of a lot going on right now? Just kind of curious your thoughts.
I love it. I mean, look, there's a lot to manage. I've got a great staff. I can't do it by myself, but I've got a great personnel staff. I've got a great recruiting staff, and it allows me to, stay at 35,000 feet in the sense that I can see the whole thing because I have such great support staff that are giving me the information necessary to make the decisions that need to be made, because decisions still have to be made relative to, are we going into the portal? What are we doing relative to, this recruiting or, roster and roster management and all of those things. So I love it. There's a lot of pieces to this, and it's moving quickly. But I embrace it, and I think it's because I've got a really good staff.
Yeah, Coach. How tricky is it preparing for a team with an interim head coach and a lot of opt-outs at their most important positions?
Well, we've watched their backup quarterback. You know, he played 68 snaps against, I think it's Florida Atlantic, so we know who he is. And, you know, look, they're playing LSU. They're going to play hard. They're going to play for 4 quarters. They're a Big Ten team. They've got scholarship players. So, you know, we're not really that concerned about Purdue not showing up and playing, you know, really well. I think what we're concerned is, you know, what we do and how we do it. You know, you don't tackle a lot during these bowl games. You know, we have some guys that are not going to be playing. So I think our focus has really been much more on what we do and how we do it and our preparation, more so than, you know, really concerning ourselves with what Purdue's situation is.
Coach, you got a roundabout number between high school signees and transfer portal kids that might be your total when the dust settles on this haul for 23?
Yes. Do you want me to? You'd like a number? I mean, it's going to be in the mid to high 30s. So I think within a calendar year, you know, we could be close to turning over 70 scholarships.
You think that number's going to be ongoing? You think when you look back over a span of 4 or 5 years, where the number's going to be similar, it's going to be like an average?
Well, it's certainly, you know, when they changed the number from 25, there was certainly the need to go above that 25 number because of people moving in and out of your program. I certainly don't think it's going to be in the mid to high 30s. I think that's outside the lines. But I do believe that the high 20s is going to be the norm. I remember years where I was 18. I think those days are over.
Ryan, obviously you can't talk about any specific signees for a few days yet still, but kind of random question here about tight ends. What do y'all look for as you're evaluating that position?
So the tight end position sometimes gets looked at as, you know, are you a ball catcher? Are you an inline, you know, run blocker? I think you have to look at the ability to develop tight ends. And so I've always looked at the ability to develop them from their athletic ability, and then do they have the size to be a complete tight end? So it's easy to say, well, I can get a 6'6" tight end who's 215 pounds and he can be a ball catcher and I can split him out. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to look at somebody that can develop into a complete tight end, that can play in line, that can spread out, that can catch the football, that can do all those jobs and not be one-dimensional at that particular position. So that's our profile. That's specific to what we do here at LSU now. That might not be specific to everybody. You can see that some schools would prefer just a big tight end that is almost a tackle, and then one that is maybe a little bit slighter and is just a ball catcher, and they kind of combine them as one. We would prefer to take somebody that we can develop into that tight end that can be all of that.
Ryan, it's been a little while now since Keyshawn Butte made his announcement, but if you would talk about what his decision means for your team going forward into 2023, how big a priority was that? And is it fair to say that his relationship with you is one of the ones that has come the farthest since you first arrived here, given some of the comments we remember you made in spring football?
Yeah, I would say that it's evolving, and look, everybody has evolved in this program. You know, Keyshawn's not different than anybody else. I think that everybody's worked really hard at trying to do the things necessary on a day-to-day basis to be a champion, and both on and off the field. And that's the expectations that we have for all of our players, not just Keyshawn. So you have choices, right? I mean, you can choose to stay and continue to work on those things necessary to be a champion, or you can move on. Obviously, with his announcement, he chose that he wants to continue to work on those things, and good for him. But those guys that have eligibility remaining that want to be here know that there's a standard, and they have to continue to work towards that standard every day, and he's no different.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
So with Josh Williams and Cam Wire walking across the stage yesterday, your mantra all season has been graduate champions. So what level of pride do you take in seeing those guys walk across the stage and hopefully getting more guys to walk across the stage?
Well, we had quite a few walk in the fall, and we'll have more in the spring. Yeah, really proud of him, and certainly Josh's speech, I don't know if you heard it, but it was pretty amazing. Talked about his time as a walk-on and reflected on that journey, and certainly where he is today as one of the most respected players in our program. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for is somebody that is appreciative of the opportunity, has grown from his time here at LSU, and will represent all of the traits that, you know, we espouse here at LSU and in our athletic department. So, yeah, pretty proud of all those guys, and in particular the way he handled himself, for sure. Great, thank you, appreciate it.